needlesscomplexityradio@gmail.com. Say what is on your mind. Enjoy the show. I've been afraid of changing 'cause I wrote 1,000 songs about you. You like the little part at the end? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Needless Complexity Show. De facto film reviews. It is your host, Julian. Julian dropping in on you. Julian dropping in on you on January the 1st. How was your New Year's, everybody? Did you bring it in swinging? Did you kiss your sweetheart? Mwah! Huh? Did you party till the sun came up? Huh? Did you go to the bar? Everybody remember in Forrest Gump, like Lieutenant Dan? I think Lieutenant Dan is my spirit animal. Because I feel like the older I get, the more I resonate with that guy. You know, you just sit in the bar. Some girl's like got her elbow in your neck. Happy New Year! All the confetti's just like falling down onto you, into your drink. Just staring off into space. In a wheelchair. All right? I think that was a metaphor. Oh, Forrest Gump, hon. Well, Happy New Year, guys. Did you stay up late? Did you change your entire personality at 12 at 12 a.m.? What are you doing this year? What are you doing new this year, huh? You're going to the gym? Huh? You're going to eat healthier? Huh? Are you going to take accountability? Are we taking accountability? I don't think any of that stuff matters. I think everyone is just like, I think we've pretty much all woken up to the fact of reality, and that is we are just like in survival mode. I honestly, I don't think I heard, and maybe it's just because I'm like in my 30s and my friends group, all of my friends are just like either parents or not doing anything. I think that's just like really in reality what it is. Because I have not heard a single person say anything about New Year's at all whatsoever. Actually, I did get invited to one of my dear old neighbors. Well, in another neighborhood. He's a friend of mine, but he lives in my. Anyway, the point is, a dear old friend of mine. He invited me to a New Year's party. He throws one every year. It's quite a shindig. I'm not gonna lie. I've been a couple times. It's all right, you know. I enjoy. And here's what I like about it. Okay, I'm getting way off track like I always do. Here's my criteria for a party. All right. If you meet this criteria, then I'm good. All right. I need a place to park easily. All right. I need a place to sit. All right. And I need no lines to the bathroom. If you can do that, I'm good. I'm showing up. All right. And it's got to be over by it's even better. No, actually, people with kids party a little bit harder because I understand they need a break. The point is, Jesus Christ, Julian. The point is, he invited me over, and I had to skip out this year. I couldn't do it this year. He and his sister have just sort of started this really awkward tradition where they just sort of argue about politics, and everyone is just sort of everyone's just sort of sitting there quietly. I love it. I love a good awkward. I love an awkward situation, but at the same time, I'm just I didn't drive out here for this. But anyway, Julian was in bed at 9:00 last night watching a movie. All right, sounded like Afghanistan down here in Florida. All right, Actually, I've never been to Afghanistan, never will, have no desire to, and war is not the answer. But the point is, the level of fireworks, like I had to get up a couple of times and be like, hey, is there one under the house right now? Because it got to the point where the fireworks were just going, and if you live down here in Florida, you know what I'm talking about. There comes a point, it's like on New Year's Eve and on the 4th of July, like right around midnight, like it's like a statewide grand finale where the fireworks are just going so fucking crazy nonstop, and the flashing, it's actually kind of incredible. But this was like the first year where like I actually felt bad for like animals and like pets and stuff like that. You know? I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is how like the dinosaurs must have felt. But I hope you guys are doing all right. I hope you continue to do all right out there in radio land. I was in bed early last night. You know, I don't do the New Year's shenanigans, and you know what? I don't lie to myself and tell myself that I'm going to be any different at midnight than I was at 11:59. I'm done gaslighting myself at that point because that just doesn't work. But I woke up this morning, had two lovely text messages, had one from my mother, all right, and had one from my aunt, and just sent them a nice little New Year's Eve message back, and I kept it moving. But Julian is, I gotta be honest with you guys, Julian is feeling a little, he's not feeling so great. You know, I had to take an exam yesterday for work, and I don't know, it's like this new fucking thing that I had to take an exam for work because these exams are now mandatory because everyone within the product side of our company has to get these mandatory certifications through the platform that we develop on. So, it's just like, I knew about it for a while, I'm not gonna lie. I've known about the exam for months, all right? And I was like, you know what, let me schedule it for December 31st. Let me get this certification, and then we can bring in the fucking new year, honey. But I gotta be honest with you guys. I took the coursework earlier in the year, probably like back in the summer, and then just kind of like forgot about it. And, like my PM, she kept like reminding everybody, so like, hey guys, the exam's coming, the deadline's gonna be, this, whatever. And I'm a procrastinator, okay? And I'll be honest with you. I think procrastinators get a lot of flack because I'll be honest. I would say for the majority of my life, procrastination has served me well. I don't know what it is, but when you give me a very long deadline for something, I just wait until the very last minute to do it. I'm a crammer, all right? I've always been a crammer, even back in high school, hon. Julian was studying 2 hours before the exam, all right? Now, I didn't always do well, but overall, I think I averaged pretty well. But anyway, the point is, Julian took his exam yesterday, and, the night before, I was cramming, I was going through the modules again, I was taking all these little practice tests and all that, and I was using ChatGPT to help me out a little bit, and you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I actually went into the exam feeling, like, pretty confident, and, I get to the test center because it's like one of those proctored exams, it's like I get to the test center and they sit me down, they check me in, all this stuff, empty your pockets, all this, whatever. And I get into the room and the lady sets me up and I start the exam and I knew it wasn't going to be good from the first question. I knew it wasn't gonna be a good one, baby. And here's the thing, it's like, it was one of those tests where it was a multiple choice test, but then it also had questions where there could be like up to 4 answers. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like, so the first question like really threw me off, and I'll be honest, like I was like, most of the material I knew, but there were like some questions in there where I was like, I fucking feel like this wasn't even in the coursework. Needless to say, needless complexity, baby. Oh, he does it again. Needlesscomplexityradio@gmail.com. If you have something to say, okay, honey, call me. Needless to say, Julian did not pass the test. All right, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a major punch to the ego. You know, it's like it's so funny how if you kind of like, you know, sometimes you got to take a step back a little bit. That's one thing I've learned over the years. You know, we are not always our thought. We are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions. And I think sometimes when you take a step back, you know how they always say observe the thoughts, you know, when they talk about that a lot of, what is that, like in Taoism, and, you know, I feel like Eckhart Tolle talks about that. You have to kind of take a step back and observe yourself. I found myself like blaming everything, right? Like, oh, this fucking test, this wasn't on here. This wasn't in the module work. Well, what the fuck? Like, how am I supposed to know the difference between a UI policy and a business rule? Sorry, guys, my freaking mic cut out on me, man. I just had to take a step back and look at this entire thing objectively. And, you know, it's kind of funny because in that moment, like when I walked out of the test center, I'm just like blaming everything and everyone but myself. But I'm just like, of course, Julian, you did not pass. There I go. I had to take a step back. And I'm like, of course you did not pass the exam. And here's why, Julian. Like I had to like talk to myself like a child. Like I had to talk to little child Julian. And I'm like, you were given notice about this exam pretty much in the beginning of the year. You took the coursework back in the summer. You did not come back to the coursework until like 2 nights before the exam, and you expected to pass? No, you don't get that. And I think like, you know, I think like our bodies sometimes just like naturally try to protect us. I think it's maybe like a defense mechanism, and you know, you kind of like deflect and you scramble and you try to just point the finger at everything externally, but in reality, you know, it was me. And you know, at first, like when I walked out of there, it was just like really like a major hit to my ego. And I'm just like, I've been using this platform for like the past like 2 years. Like, am I dumb? Like, am I just like not smart enough? Like, do I just not have the mental capacity to like take this test? Like, is there something that everybody else is understanding that I'm just like not comprehending? I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on as I'm just sitting there, you know, trying to reason with myself. And, you know, in reality, it was just simply, I was just not well enough prepared for it. And, you know, personally, I am just naturally very, very hard on myself. And, you know, I do look at that as a little bit, I do look at that as a little bit of a character flaw, because I do feel like it has robbed me of, you know, maybe like in areas where I could have like had certain joys, or maybe just sort of like taken a step back a little bit and, you know, gone a little bit easier on myself. But I think when it does come to like my professional, my professional life, you know, my career, you know, I do take it very, very, very seriously, and maybe even to a fault. You know, I think that most of my ambitions professionally are fear-based, where it's like, oh, like I want to do well on this so I can get a good performance and I don't get laid off. And I want to do very well because I want to understand the material so, I can handle this task. And I think like ultimately, sure, like you want to do well so you can succeed. But I think for me, like historically, my desire to want to do well has always been from a place of like, or else, or fear of the contrary. And I felt like all of that was kicking in. I'm driving in my car, just like my eyes just like wide open, like stunned. I don't think I made like a single sound driving home from that test center. And oh my God, and you know what? And all right, I'm gonna harp on it for like another 5 seconds. It was such a beautiful day yesterday. I feel like yesterday was like one of the most beautiful days that we've had in Florida. It's like, it wasn't a cloud in the sky. There was like no wind. It was cool. It was nice. And then here I am, Julian driving home in his car, like licking his wounds, just stunned from this test. But I don't know, like I found myself like reeling with that, and all of these thoughts just really started to like flood my head, and I'm just like, oh my God, like now everyone at work is going to find out that I failed. And like, what does that mean now for me? Like, does that mean that like my job is in jeopardy? Like, does that mean that like they think I'm stupid, or like I'm a failure, or like I'm a fraud? I don't know. And it's funny because, I switched careers maybe about like 8 years ago. I was doing like retail management for many, many years. And then, I switched into like tech about like 9 years ago, I'd say. And I just always had like the biggest case of imposter syndrome. It's like I've had multiple jobs in my field. I've like held multiple positions in my field, but like there's still like this part of me that's like, what if they find out I'm a fraud? Like, isn't that crazy? Like, can anybody else resonate with that? Like I can do my job well. Like I would consider myself good at my job. Like even the platform that I work on, that I've been working on like the last 2 years that I had to take the exam on that I failed, like people come to me for help, like people ask me for help. Like I feel like I'm a person in my position where, other people, like my colleagues, will reach out to me if they have questions about something, and I'm able to help them, and I'm able to like solution things for them. And I've like done lunch and learns, and I've done presentations, and I'm like always talking to the client, and like, Julian's a jack of all trades, baby, is what I'm trying to say. But in this moment, like in that moment of like vulnerability or, chink in the armor, I'm like rethinking my entire career. Isn't that crazy? Like, isn't that crazy how the brain works? I don't know. It's like the mind is a very powerful thing. Like I've done very well at my job, but this one moment, this one unfortunate moment has got me feeling like, I need to go like I need to hang it all up. I was going to go say work in fast food, but people that work in fast food, like their jobs are just as important. And that is not at all, yeah, I don't even know why I said that, but anyway. So I think like that whole situation kind of got me thinking, and I'm like, you know what? Here's a lesson learned. You have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to be able to appreciate the ups, and then you also have to be able to appreciate the downs. And, not even just accept the downs, but kind of like relish in the downs a little bit. Like kind of bake, marinate in the downs, because the downs, I feel like a lot of times the downs can offer more perspective than the ups can. I feel like that's where the real lessons are learned. Like, can you imagine if just like everything went well all of the time, no matter what? Like, you kind of lose your reference point then, right? Like, you kind of like, if you're only achieving and you never have any setbacks, like how I feel like you can kind of lose focus of the plot, right? Like, you kind of lose the meaning as like what it's all for. Because I kind of feel like when you struggle a little bit, when you have your setbacks, when things don't always go the way that they're planned, when you do turn it around or when you do make that comeback, you just appreciate the journey a little bit more. All right. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down? I feel like it makes sense to me, but I don't know. I'm literally just sitting here pacing. But Julian had a huge reality check yesterday. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm like over it. Also at the same time, like, when certain things happen, don't sit there and pretend it didn't happen, like, don't be in denial. But, I think you have to accept it and you have to move on, right? Like, okay, Julian failed the test. It's over. It's done. Now, what is the next step? Okay, the next step is retake the test, which I got to fucking pay for now. But okay, I'll pay for it. I'll pay the $75 and I'll retake the test and I will get the certification. So what am I going to do differently this time? All right, well, Julian's going to pace himself, all right? Julian's going to study the material. Julian's going to get a lot more study material, and then I'm going to come back stronger, all right? I'm going to Thanos that shit. All right, give me my infinity ring, baby, all right? But what's my resolution going into the new year? You know what? I think this entire experience was necessary, and it has taught me a big lesson, all right? I'm not going to the gym, all right? But Julian could lose a couple pounds, though, all right? Julian was real fit a couple years ago, but then, I don't know, life got to him. Maybe a little bit of depression, honey, but I don't know. We'll move past that. But what is my resolution for this year? I think I would like to extend myself more grace. I think that I would like to be more kind to myself and just allow myself to be human. All right. I think that's one thing about like the whole New Year's thing where it's like, oh, new year, new me. Like, I'm going to completely change overnight. Just like allow yourself to be human. Allow yourself to be human. And I think maybe that's something that I need to work on a little bit more. Extend myself a little bit of grace. Allow myself to be human. Roll with the punches, all right? The downs are just as necessary and as important as the ups. And, you just keep it moving, honey. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. It's small. All right? We're here for just a short amount of time, and then the ride is over. I had a thought. I have those sometimes. I had maybe too many. Definitely too many. I had a thought. I think sometimes like we get so like consumed with just everything and everything that's going on and everything that's happening, and I think it's a very interesting time to be a human being right now in history. Just with like how quickly the world is changing and, just in many ways, it's a world that I don't even recognize anymore. And maybe that's just old Julian talking, right? I'm 35, man. I'm not as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as I used to be, but you just kind of like, I don't know, take inventory of just everything and like all of my problems and my issues, and again, taking a step back, and I was thinking about how sometimes, like, if you're like on an airplane and maybe you're like, maybe you're ascending, you're going up, or maybe you're coming down, and, you're still high enough to kind of, everything is still in frame, but everything is just so small. You see the trees and you see the cars that look like little dots and they're moving slow. And I don't know, it always makes me think, like, I'm worried about all the shit going on down there. I'm like, we're just a little ant colony. We're on a little fucking terranium, and we have all of these problems. Is it really that complicated? Like, is life really that complicated? I don't know, maybe I should ask the ants. I wish I could talk to the ants and be like, hey guys, what's going on down there? Although they seem to have a much better system of working together than we do. Like, I don't get it, man. So many problems, and yet we're like so tiny. That's why Julian likes being in the mountains. Oh, by the way, little information about Julian over here. The house that I am so Julian is about to say goodbye to Tampa, Florida, all right? Time's up. I'm getting out of here. The house that I am currently renting, my lease is up in February. And Julian's going to say goodbye to, what do they call it, the Sunshine State down here? Julian's getting out of here, man. Julian needs to spend some time in the mountains. Like an eagle perched up on the mountain, hun, just looking down on everything. Spread my wings. Fly like an eagle to the sea. Shout out Seal. Anybody listen to Seal? Seal was like my favorite. Okay, stop, Julian. The point that I'm making is, as you go into this new year, all right, forget about the gym, all right? Forget about protecting your peace, all right? Forget about all of that, and give yourself some space. Give yourself the time and the space to be human, all right? I always say it, feel your emotions, but also take a step back and observe them. I know it does kind of sound a little like woo, but it is actually kind of an interesting practice. Like, if you find yourself kind of consumed, right? This is serious, Julian. If you find yourself consumed, right, by your thoughts or maybe like a situation, like, first of all, maybe ask yourself, like, is what has happened or is what is happening to me in my control, or is it out of my control? Like, am I in control of this situation? Like, are these circumstances in control or outside of my control? All right? And this is a step back process, right? Because this is really causing you to step back and kind of take an objective approach to it, right? Right? You're stepping outside of yourself, and physically, like, take a slide to the left, take a step back, all right? You ask yourself, are these circumstances in my control or outside of my control? All right? And just sit with it for a second. Then next, you say to yourself, okay, what can I do about this situation? How can I respond to this situation? Right? Because so much of what happens, right? But life is about decisions and all that stuff. Like, we're just making decisions. But a lot of times it's not so much what happens to us, but it's how we roll with it, right? That's how we roll with it. How am I going to roll with the situation? How am I going to respond to the situation? How am I going to react to the situation? All right? Put it into perspective, honey. All right? It's only life. Hey, everybody. Can I share something with you guys? Can I be vulnerable for a second? Huh? Can I open up? Can I spread eagle? Can I open it up for you? Not in that way, honey. Come on, get your mind out of the gutter. Can I express myself in an artistic way and not be judged? I hope so. Actually, I was flipping through some old spirals. I've got like 50 spiral notebooks just like lingering around the house. And you know when you like buy a notebook, you know, nothing feels better than buying nothing. The greatest day of your life owning a notebook is like the first day you get it. Because if you're like me, you get a notebook and you're like, okay, this notebook is going to be for writing out the bill. I write out my bills. All right, I'm old school, honey. All right. The math's got to make sense in my head, so I write it out. Well, Julian's a bookkeeper. You're like, oh, okay, this notebook's going to be for this. This notebook is going to be for that. I'm going to write, this is going to be my journal. All right. Maybe this one I'm going to write my poetry in. And then, maybe there's something you need to write down. So you grab one and then maybe you can't find the others and you realize it's not the right notebook. So you start writing everything in the one and it just becomes this scattered sort of clusterfuck, just like my mind. Jesus Christ, I am really going around Robin Hood's Barton just to say, I'd like to share a poem with you all. I need to tone it back a little bit. All right, I'm going way too hard. Julian woke up this morning feeling a little under the weather, and had to load up on my vitamin C for that. The point is, I want to share a poem with you guys. All right, and it's kind of funny, like when you write, maybe you journal something or you maybe you create a piece of art. And let's be very honest here, okay? Art and Julian is like an oxymoron, all right? They shouldn't even belong in the same sentence, all right? What I'm trying to say is, it's interesting how like nostalgic sometimes this is. You write things down and you maybe come back to it a while later and you read it and it takes you right back to where you were. I was feeling a little bit like that when I went back and reading this, and it's not good, all right? It's not happy, all right? But it's just where I was, and also I might add a little bit of music. I don't know, maybe some synth sounds, maybe a little bit of bass when we're going back and when I go back and edit this, just for some dramatic effect. All right, Julian, less talk and more doing. All right. This is an old poem. It's not dated in any way, so I guess it's timeless. All right, Julian, stop stalling. Just do it. All right. I've never seen you cry. Your eyes only well to quickly evaporate like there was nothing there at all. Ferociously quiet, but your echo painfully lingers when you're not here. Who are you beneath those bronze cheeks that have never seen the rain from your soul? So soft-spoken, but full of rage that runs for eternity. What will tomorrow's version of you look like? Another cut that valleys infinitely? Selfishly broken, an insurmountable crawl from the depths of your despair. You try, but there is no light, only shadows. Oh! Okay. That last poem that I read was like, I'm actually feeling very self-conscious about it, okay? I'm okay. It was a long time ago that I wrote that one, all right? I was in a place, all right? I think I wrote it like a couple weeks ago, a year or two ago, okay? I'm all right. Roses are red, violets are blue. I've got a crush on that van life girl. Whoop-de-doo. See, we're happy now. All right, everybody. Well, big news for Needless Complexity. Julian's going professional. Julian's going crisp and clear with his new mic. So I figured, why not showcase the new mic with an old film review? So bear with me because I got this little dongle, this little receiver thing that I got to keep plugged in. So hopefully I don't keep knocking into it. But ladies and gentlemen, we saw an absolutely wonderful movie over the weekend, and it'd be nice if I had my notes pulled up. It'd be nice if Julian had his notes pulled up. Where did I put it? It is under, oh God. Oh, there we go. Dirty God. Dirty God. Okay, look. I gotta tip my hat to Amazon here, because Amazon's like 2 for 2 now. Amazon is like 2 for 2. I'm like, who is curating these movies over at Prime? I'm like, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought I was in the Criterion collection over here. But wow, saw a absolutely okay. First of all, it was great. I absolutely loved it. Again, another one that I went in blind. So you know what? I think that's my issue. I think from here on out, I need to exercise a little less bias. All right, and I think I need to just be open-minded. It's kind of like when you push people away because you got all these problems and you don't want to get hurt. And then the second someone comes into your life that like treats you worth a damn, you push them away because you got all this trauma. And then you just give it to them. All right, Julian, it's not that serious. But oh my goodness, this movie that we saw, ladies and gentlemen, was an absolute. I think I'm actually still processing it a little bit. And that doesn't happen often. Usually I feel like I can watch a movie and even when they're good, right? Like I feel like it's been a long time since I've like easily parted ways with a movie. And this one has just been, I've been marinating on this one for the past couple of days since I saw it. So we watched Dirty God. And, it was kind of funny because, I was like in bed getting ready to go to sleep and I'm like, oh, I'm not too tired yet. And I swear I didn't click on it just because of the name. Okay. All right. It looked somewhat interesting. All right. It had a very attractive female on the poster. All right. But that wasn't the only reason I clicked on the video. I was like, hey, this looks kind of interesting. Let me go ahead and watch it. But Dirty God. And I'm telling you, I don't even think I read the synopsis of this movie before I clicked it, because I think it was just going to be one of those things where I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed, I'm tired. I kind of like to fall asleep to movies. It's like my movies are like kind of like my emotional teddy bear as I go to sleep. Either that or like interrogation videos. But yeah, oh my God, Dirty God. So right off the bat, let's just go over the synopsis really quick. So Jade is a young single mother from the UK. All right, you cunt. Severely burned by an acid attack. After facial surgery, her beauty is lost between the scars, descending a self-destructive path with relationships. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, that's what it's about. Yeah. So first off, I gotta say, shout out to whoever was in charge of wardrobe for this movie. Like, I feel like they told the wardrobe person, like, okay, whoever was in charge of wardrobe is like in complete control of their reality and how they view this world. Like the costume, well, not costumes, but like the outfits were just so fucking fun and so like UK. And I don't really know any other way to say it. Even like the main character, the young lady, Jade, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like she's having such a hard time, man. Like she should just get into fashion. Like her outfits were just it was just like banger outfit after banger outfit after banger outfit. Even her mother, even though she was like a local thief, she was quite the curator as well of a stylish boudoir. But yeah, it was. Yeah, this movie is like, okay, it's hard to watch. This is in no way like a feel-good movie. Like, you don't come out of this movie feeling like good. I guess like the sense of the silver lining at the end of the movie is like, okay, well, I'm glad she didn't kill herself. Because, like, Jesus Christ, like, the dog's dinner that this woman was just served moment after moment, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, can we give her a break? But just like absolutely powerful performances by everyone. It's a really tough subject matter as well. It does get into a lot of, it touches into like abusive relationships and all of that, and just violence towards people. And it's a downer, but it's good. And I feel like I can't really say good enough things about it. And I was reading a little bit. I was doing a little bit of research because I was like, either that's like really great makeup, or this lady had to have been burned, in real life at some point. And I did a little bit of research after the movie, and I did see that, the scarring that this woman has on her body is very real from an accident that she had when she was younger. Again, okay, so directed by Sasha Polak. I'm pretty certain I haven't seen anything of hers ever. But again, just like one of those movies that it's like you watch it one time and you just want to watch absolutely everything that this director, filmmaker was a part of. And it seems like she's got I think she's got about maybe like 2 or 3 other films. Another of which I think stars the young lady, I think her name is Vicky Knight, that stars, she's the lead in some of her other work as well. So I will 100% be looking at her. I'm like, after every word, I'm like belching, so bear with me. I'm sorry. But the movie just sort of opens and they just kind of get right into it. And, the main character sort of, it's okay, she's young. She's very young, and it's like everything that comes with being a mother, first of all, which I can't even begin to understand. Being a young mother who lives with her mother, who is a little bit overbearing in a very small flat, having like a quote unquote best friend who kind of like likes to hang out with you and likes to party, but is also kind of a shitty friend. And then having like a very complicated relationship with your best friend's current boyfriend, because you and your best friend's current boyfriend used to kind of like have a thing, and maybe he sort of kicked you to the curb for your best friend. And then you're kind of like dealing with the fact that you aren't working right now and you have to support your daughter. And you have to deal with the fact that you've like just come out of like 17 skin grafts, so, and you're there, you like barely recognize yourself in the mirror. Okay. Like that's how it all, like, that's our starting point here. Right. And then it's just like the shafting after shafting that she gets, where it just seems like from scene to scene. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, can this lady get a break? I don't want to go too far into it, because this is one of those ones that, like, you just kind of have to let it unfold and, just sort of see it for yourself, and, sort of what this character wants. and her path to try to get there, and sort of what sort of happens at like the apex of the story. So I will spare you that part, but I did kind of, because I didn't really get to look into many of the reviews for this one. So I always kind of like to pop my head into Flickster, and I like Flickster because I love the constant war between the critics. Oh God, do they not have it on there? Maybe they'll have it on Letterboxd. Let's see if they have it on Letterboxd. Let's go to Letterboxd. SSRI Central. Don't come at me. Do you think this show could ever get sponsored? Actually, you know what? Never mind. Because the show has got to get viewers. Oh, it's Dirty God. Did I say Dirty Dog? Oh, it's Dirty God. Whoopsies. All right, so Letterboxd looks like overall has a 3.4, which I feel like in Letterboxd world is good, maybe. Okay. These are like I figured that people's reviews on this one were going to be very long. I figured the folks on here have a lot to say. Okay, let's look at this one. This person gave it a 2.5 stars. Jade can't catch a break. She's had acid thrown on her, and the people in her life aren't the nicest bunch, of course. Her mother, her coworkers, and her so-called friends all treat her with varying degrees of cruelty. Condensation. Condensation? What? Condensation. Okay, they're condescending. All right, my dyslexia is kicking in. Yeah, she masturbates on Zoom or Skype, and the video gets shared around her at her call. Yep, that did happen. Yep, that kind of happened. Perfect example of a film that demands too much uncomplicated pity for my taste. Polak's superb debut. Hemmel focuses on self-destructive behavior. So does her less superb follow-up Zurich, which throws some explanatory backstory into the mix. Dirty Dog, by contrast, merely observes the pain, more psychic than physical, experienced by a young London woman following an acid attack. Yeah, you know what? It tracks. It tracks. I will be honest. I feel like you do have to Okay, here's what I will say. Because, people are saying... What I am kind of, as I'm looking and browsing through this, a lot of people are sort of like, it's just sort of like depression core. And, maybe that says something about me. But I think it's a story that's being told. And I don't think that it's like too over the top or too far-fetched. Like, I feel like everything that happened to this young lady in this movie was 100. I'm not going to say it's relatable. Okay. But I think everything that happened to this young lady in this movie was very believable and did not in any way seem over the top. Okay, here we go. Another Letterboxd person says, typical, but typically good British misery porn. Yeah, but sometimes, like, I don't know. Sometimes you got to hold up the mirror a little bit. I don't know. The themes explored in this film and Vicky Knight's performance are strong. They absolutely are. The actual execution of the plot is lacking in substance, though, and it somehow manages to feel much longer than it actually is. I don't know. You know what this movie kind of reminds me of a little bit? It kind of, in a weird way, it almost feels like it's in that universe of like a Sean Baker film. And I know we talked about Anora and how much like that movie, like I didn't get it. Like I didn't get how it like swept at the Oscars, but I do put it in that same bucket of sort of like you are sort of you're observing this person in all of their like chaos and misfortune. And sure, is there a strong plot? For me, no, but I found myself very drawn to this woman's situation. And I thought it was like very interesting. And I think in many ways the movie kind of, I mean, I'm still thinking about it. I sat with it, you know, and it's not just because I wanted to talk about it, but I really liked it. I really liked it. There were a couple of things that I felt were like really weird. Like like her ex who had thrown the acid on her. I mean, I guess like the why isn't very important. But they kind of they kept showing these little like montages of he and her in these scenes that seemed sort of somewhat like seductive. And I don't know if they were trying to like portray her in this position where maybe she had like lost her power, or, you know, she's just so consumed, or maybe like this scenario, this situation, there's like no escape because of this situation. It's just, you know, caused so many other, it's caused maybe just like such a butterfly effect in her life. And yeah, like some of the scenes, like the little cut scenes where they would show her ex and her together and kind of in these weird sort of like slow motion, seductive sort of transcendence-esque type situations, felt a little like, I don't know, it felt a little tone deaf to the story. I felt like I'm like, okay, do we have to give this person this much air? Like, we get it. Like, I'm looking at her and I get it. I can't believe I said dirty dog. My apologies, everyone. Sometimes I think something in my head and my mouth says something different. And I think that's a combination of dyslexia and maybe a little bit of mania. All right. Wow. Okay, here we go. Checking out Rotten Tomatoes, really cool. We have a strong 50% from the audience and a 95% from the critics. And I don't know why, but like I don't think Rotten Tomatoes like lets you actually look at the audience reviews anymore, which is like really disappointing. I feel like they're like throttling it. Who's paying you off? Yes, oh my God. The film's best feature is camera work that contrasts the warmth of Morocco with the frigid ambience of England. Yes, absolutely. And just sort of the camera work in general, the cinematography is really great, and that is actually a great point. There is sort of this starkness between sort of that scene at the end of the movie where she goes to Morocco. And she goes to Morocco. I'm not going to tell you why she goes to Morocco, but it is a little bit closer to the end of the film, and it buttons everything up really nicely. Yeah, Jade is resilient but desperate. So when the film's script requires her to do some incredibly stupid things, she recovers, and we keep rooting for her. Absolutely, baby. Yes, that is a wonderful point. You know, when you like watch a movie or you read a book or you know somebody, or maybe you turn into yourself, and you just see them make like foolish decision after foolish decision after foolish decision, and you just want to like shake them by the shoulders and be like, what are you doing? I cannot think of any sort of character in any capacity that I've had this level of like grace for, like ever. Like even in her worst moments, like even in the moments where she's like, in my opinion, you know, maybe making some very questionable decisions as a parent regarding her daughter. I'm just like, oh, but if she could only just like, come on, Jade, I love you. You know, it's so interesting
the way that, like, the level of empathy and almost like love that you have for this character. Like, I almost felt like while I was watching this movie, like I was looking at her, and I'm not a parent, I don't have kids. I was looking at her from the perspective of like a parent almost, that like wants your child, and you see them, you see them making these decisions and you still love them. You just wish they kind of got it together. But very much throughout the movie, still rooting for her and wanting the best for her. And I think that was an absolutely fantastic point. But Dirty God, Amazon Prime, everyone. Is Amazon Prime like the new IFC? I think I might have to tune back in. I think I might have to check it out. You just don't get the indie films like you used to. Remember the IFC channel? Like, that was like one of my favorite things about staying home sick or like getting home early from school. You just slip on the IFC channel and you just knew whatever was on was gonna be good. Like, this is one of those movies that I felt like would have come on at like 2 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon when you're laying in bed sick and you played hooky from school. It just has that classic, and it just feels like such a classic indie film. And it was wonderful. It was an absolutely wonderful film. And I give it a solid, I think like the last one, a solid 4.5 out of 5. I actually added this to my watch list because I would love to come back. This is one of those movies that I wouldn't recommend it to somebody who's maybe kind of having a tough time upstairs. But it is a very grounding film, and it lingers, and you think about it. All right. Dirty God, everyone, go see it. Hey, everybody, really appreciate you tuning into the show. The cringe levels are coming down. They're coming down. I went back and listened to episode 1, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I fucking uploaded that. I mean, I still feel that way. I'm probably going to feel that way after I upload this one. But the point is, better, little by little, better by better. I think we're getting a little bit better. But really appreciate everybody tuning in to the Needless Complexity Show. As always, go to needlesscomplexityradio@gmail.com. If you have something to say, hope you all have a fantastic new year, and I will catch you next week.
Needless complexity. Needless complexity.